So we are back. How's everyone doing? I am doing much better though. Thank you for everyone who commented on my community post. That sucked that day. Cup of Joe. Don't know what happened. Woke up that Sunday and my back was killing me. Don't know if I slept wrong or what, because I didn't do anything the day prior to mess it up, so that really sucked. And then Monday I still had to go to work. Thankfully it wasn't that bad. So hope everyone's doing okay, staying warm, because there's some major storms going on right now. Here it is cold as hell at night. I think, yeah, the car said on the way to work 29 degrees. I know it's cooler in some areas. So, but like I said, thank you for everyone for the comments. Appreciate it. And welcome all new subscribers. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing. So, see a lot of comments on, well, we all know it as a ninjato. What's a ninjato? A straight bladed sword. Now, don't know much about ninjutsu. This isn't, I'm not picking on it, I'm not denouncing it, whatever. All I'm doing is putting out the historical evidence and this is from my research. If you found something different, put it in the comments down below, please. I'm always open to learning new stuff. So, now, there was some people who say that the ninjas forged their own swords. Okay, and that's a possibility. They could have done that. Seriously. I mean, it does take a skill to do, though. Especially with sand iron, because it's so full of impurities. The problem with that, unfortunately, is historically, there's no evidence of it. In fact, there's no evidence that they used a straight sword. There's 3 museums in Japan that are dedicated to the ninja. And the ninja swords that they have in there are all replicas. So it's hard to say if that's actually what they used or if they didn't use. You know, I've been still looking online to find anything concrete that they used them. Could they have? It's a good possibility. What historians think, though, what they might have used, and when you think about it, it makes sense, because 1, it is readily available. 2, it does the same purpose as a ninja sword does, and you could modify it. And 3, they're allowed to possess it. That is a wakizashi with a 10-inch handle on it. Now this makes sense because everybody during that time period was allowed to own a wakizashi. A wakizashi or a kodachi. Okay, because a kodachi, even though it has a 24-inch blade, it's considered a short sword, not a long sword. Okay? Because that's what a katana is. That's what katana means, long sword. So only the samurai were allowed to have long swords. Everybody else could have a short sword, all they wanted, even a tanto. So now historians aren't saying this is fact. This is just what they suspect, okay? Until new evidence comes about. So they suspect it was a wakizashi that they probably used. Could have modified it, could have modified the saya to do everything that we've all read and heard about. They're not saying that they didn't use straight swords. They're just, from what they found, this is the better option. It's already pre-made. They were allowed to own it, so it wasn't suspicious at all to have one. because the law stated you can own one. I mean, because really, think about it, you could modify the saya to hide stuff in it very easily. Have a new one made. The blade, this is the one I polished out. The blade is just about the same length as what one would be, that they say are about 20 inches long. So this is 19, almost 19 3/4, the blade length on this. So it's real close in length. And you can have a wakizashi up to 20. There were some that were 20-inch blade length, cutting blade. So, if anything, and this is just me saying this, I would say they probably used a wakizashi and just modified it to suit their needs. I mean, you could very easily, you know, just like the saya, you could make a saya pretty quick, well, not really quick, but pretty simply, and make it so like the bottom came off and stuff like that. Whereas if you had to forge, now of course not this length, this is a 27.5-inch blade length. This is my wife's. That would take some time, even if something that was 20 inches long. And when you think about it, if you're at war, you ain't got time to do that stuff. You need to get it done now. So, and we all know that the ninja worked for samurai clans, okay? There were spies for each clan. So, it's not to say that the clan maybe had a ninjato made for them, or they just went, here's a wakizashi, make it work for you, you know, because it's small, it's compact, it's easy to carry. If you had to put on a tie on your back, you could for climbing. You could even change the tsuba out to a square tsuba. That's the nice thing about Japanese swords. The handle comes off, you can change the tsuba out, you can change the seppas, you can change the handle, all kinds of things. They're kind of universal, so you can make them look and fit to what you need. So, it's, like I said, it's a good possibility that that's what they may have been using. Because I did Sunday, since I couldn't do a video because I was in too much pain, I scoured the internet looking for anything that historically shows their ninja swords, the ninjato, the short 20-inch blade sword. There's none. They're all reproductions. And by this time in our lives, they would have found something, any remnants of one made. And they haven't. So, like I said, me personally, I'm inclined to think they probably used a wakizashi, if anything, for what they needed. Because really, ninjas they dealt with spying on people, espionage, and occasional assassination. So all three of those are basically evasion. Evasion, and you don't want to be detected. Not so much fighting, because your whole job is to get the information back to whatever clan you're working for. Well, if you can't get back there to give that information to them, you failed your job, you know, and you're definitely either A, are going to be dead, or B, you're not going to get paid. And that was the whole point, for them to get paid. So, historically, them being massive fighters, I'm sorry, I can't believe that one, that one right there. And like I said, I mean, if you disagree, put it in the comments, it's fine. Because when you're basically a spy, the whole point is nobody catches on to what you're doing. So you're real slick getting in, get out, get the information back. If you're stopping to fight, well, you're not very good at your job of not being detected then. Like I'm going to be doing a deal on throwing stars, shurikens. Samurai use those the most. Ninjas occasionally would use them, but samurai carried those the most on them. And they're the ones that used them the most, throwing stars. So, I don't know. I mean, there's so much out there to sift through on the internet. I spent a good portion researching this. Like I said, just trying to find any type of documentation, artifacts, whatever. And unfortunately, like I said, there are none in existence. Because it definitely not in the Imperial collection in Japan. There's no historical ninjato. They have historical katanas, and tachis, and naganatas. I don't know the technical name for them, so I'm just going to call it ninjato. The very first swords that they used to use in the beginning, before they switched to katana, they even have those in there. You know, because those were straight double-edged swords that they got from the idea from China. Then they went from double edge to a single straight edge, and they still didn't like that because it wasn't very effective for them. So that's when they developed the katana and putting the sori in, and they felt just a single edge is good enough. So yeah, I mean, if anybody knows anything different or whatever, please put it down below with a link. I'm more than happy to check it out and look into it. Because like I said, there is so much out there. It's like, and just you start just getting fatigued just trying to find something. So that's my impressions on the ninja sword. I mean, I would assume they carried one on them. Was it a ninjato? I can't say. Now, could I say it's likely they carried a wakizashi? Yeah. Because like I said, they're perfectly fine for average people to own. You know, some places, they had swords on hand in stores, kind of like a gun store. You could buy them. So, it's a possibility. You know, like I said, even historians, they're not saying that's fact that they used the wakizashi, because they don't know, we don't know. There's very little documentation. You know, that's why the historical society in Japan, when people come up and say, like, we're the oldest ninja clan in Japan, they're real skeptic of it, because unless you can give them any form of documentation or any form of proof, because they take that very seriously over there, they will not accept it. Okay? And I don't blame them. They're trying to keep their history as accurate as possible, because there's, like I said, they're still finding new things all the time over there. Like I said, it was about 2 or 3 years ago, they found a mass gravesite from a battle, and a lot of the warriors and soldiers in there were women. So that's when they found out that women made up 30% of the samurai armies. as a whole, 30%. So that now they're intrigued to try and find out who these people were. You know, there again, it's hard to do when you don't have any documentation. So they have to look in the archives. They have to go to the shrines, because a lot of times the Shinto shrines have a lot in archive that have been forgotten about. So, and that could take, there's so much, and then not, it could take a couple of years, and then on top of that, from what I understand, not everybody knows how to read the old Japanese manuscripts. Just like, just because a Shinto priest works at that temple doesn't mean he can read them. You know, he might be fairly new. Then you have the ones who have been there, it's been passed down from generation to generation. Now those ones can read them, but from what I understand, it takes a couple years for someone to learn at university in Japan. It takes a couple years just to learn how to read the old Japanese writing, because it is so much different. It really, even from the Edo period to now, Japanese writing has totally changed. Totally changed. So if you come across anybody who says, oh, these are from the old manuscripts, and this is what it's saying, look it up. I mean, or even ask the question, oh, you know how to read old Japanese writing? If they say no, I'd be really skeptic to believe them then, because, like I said, average Japanese people can't read the old writing. It's way different now than when it was then, because it developed over the years. So it's kind of like, God, what's that language? Gaelic. That was spoken in, I do believe, Ireland. It's almost just about a dead language. So the only reason why it still exists is because some people still talk it. So to write it and read it, you have to know people where it's been passed down through their heritage. Or you go to university to learn it, because it's almost a dead language. So it's the same thing. Because not every Irish person knows Gaelic. Or can even understand Gaelic. It's the same thing. So I'd be like I said, I'd be cautious. Go on the air of cautious. If someone's saying they're reading the old manuscripts, just ask that. It's not being disrespectful. I mean, if anything, you give them kudos for learning that, because from what I understand, it's not easy to do. It's almost like a foreign language to them. So, like I said, it's not being disrespectful. It's just making sure that you're getting the right information as well, too. And like I always tell people, if I get something wrong in my videos, put it in the comments down below, and I will pin my correction at the top. I am not afraid of doing that. At all. And my nice coffee cup. I think Joe over at Steel Forge and Fire has this exact same cup. My wife saw this when we were at Spirit Halloween. She was like, yep, that's for him. So that's all I have for you guys. We're going to have hopefully a really neat cutting session for you guys after Saturday. We're supposed to have family get together, and we're going to be cutting a lot of shit. So everyone take it easy, stay warm. If you have to go out on the roads, be safe. I know this whole country, like I said, I've heard and I've read, seen, is getting hammered. Tornadoes, ice storms, so please be careful out there. And we will see you all later.